Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Formula One. I haven't talked about it in a while, but more specifically, what today's race in Barcelona means for the championship picture overall, because it changed a little bit of things basically because it got made things a little bit more interesting. Let's put it that way. I mean, Lewis Hamilton finally got that big win for Ferrari. I mean, it's been who knows how long. George Russell finishing second, of course, and then Lando Norris grabbing third and Kimi Antonelli, who has been leading the championship for quite some time now, like had a late DNF, and while running near the front for most of the race, actually, until that late DNF, essentially. Um, so the big question is like, did Barcelona change the championship outlook? Now, for me, the answer is it made the drivers' championship a little bit more interesting, but I think it's still Kimi Antonelli is still, you could say, the favorite, because right now, I think Kimi Antonelli still has points, still definitely has the points lead, but Hamilton has definitely closed the gap. I mean, Russell's still there as well too, of course, but like after Hamilton overtook him last week, um, but Ferrari suddenly looks like they have a real, you know, I guess real race winning pace. But one race that does not completely flip the championship, of course. Like it made things more interesting, but it doesn't flip it completely yet. Antonelli has been like consistent all season. Let's be honest. I mean, and Mercedes still looks like the most complete team overall. I mean, compared to last year, this is like a little bit of a surprise, and we saw this was happening basically. Now, looking ahead to the next, I guess, three races, between Austria, Silverstone, and Spa. I mean, this is where things can get really important, of course. But I mean, looking at the stats a little bit for a second, I mean, Kimi like still leads the drivers' championship by 156 points. He came into the weekend up by 66. Of course, now he's only left by 41, basically. The fact that because he retired, of course, unfortunately, if he finished at least within points spread, at least there wouldn't have been that much of a huge thing. Now, the one who capitalized, of course, was Hamilton, who now moves him up to 115 points, clear second. Definitely separated himself from Russell at that point. Now Russell's third at 106. Um, Having he'd had a pretty quiet, quietly excellent weekend, you could say, basically. But with the pole and podium, then there's the gap between Leclerc. Now Russell did pole, but of course, uh, you know, uh, there's Leclerc, Norris, Piastri, and Verstappen. And of course, coming to the constructors' cup a little bit. I mean, Mercedes is still bossing it essentially with 262 points. I mean, they're 72 clear Ferrari as of now, of course. McLaren third, and Red Bull since they fired Christian, they're distant fourth. Was that a right move to fire Christian? Time will only tell. But right now, as of on paper, of course, like nothing's really changed because Mercedes still leads both, but the vibe completely changed, and that's the reason why I think what it comes down to basically. Um, so I mean, Austria should definitely be a strong bounce back opportunity for Mercedes. I mean, Merck has, like even though Antonelli like didn't, finish off, he definitely, finish in Barcelona. He should definitely do well in Austria. Let's be honest. Um, Now Red Bull, of course, now Austria is definitely a track where basically Red Bull really essentially do really well on this track. I mean, because like you've got the power braking and balance meter, they have all that, and that's what this race is built specifically built for their car. But I expect Antonelli and Russell to be right back in the fight, of course, with Red Bull in this situation. But Ferrari should be there too, especially with Hamilton coming off a huge win. Let's be honest, like Hamilton coming off that huge win, he should be able to handle this track really well at that point as well too. Now going on to Silverstone, this one is of course massive, and like it's that weekend for Silverstone, I believe, is a sprint weekend, which means extra points are definitely on the available on the board for that as well too. And then you think of Silverstone, where Silverstone. Let me see for a second. Let me move this over here. Silverstone. I mean, you definitely always think of. I mean, think of the British drivers. Basically, you got Hamilton, Lando, Russell. I mean, of course, the fact that Barcelona all three finished. I think that's the first time in quite a long time since we had three British drivers finish a race podium in Barcelona. That is, um, but I think in this situation, if Ferrari has pace, there and Hamilton has another big weekend, this championship race could tighten up very quickly. Of course, if Hamilton were to have a very big weekend and Antonelli kind of falters a little bit. Um, but of course, the third race, of course, I think would be Spa at that point. Spa is definitely one of those tracks where I think you could say that it's the best over a car usually shows up at that point. I got to look at the map a little bit here. You need a straight line speed, of course, efficiency, confidence through the fast corners and stability. That should favor Mercedes and Ferrari, of course, as well too. But McLaren basically could get involved in the situation in Spa for the podium because that's where they also thrive at as well too in this situation, especially with these corners. Well, more not with the corners, but more of like the straight line speed, of course, and the fast corners because like McLaren does really well. They have a really good engine at that situation. Um, I, I would say like in the next three races, I mean, like what can we expect? I I can say this is basically after Spa, I think Antonelli, if he still points, he doesn't have to finish first. But if he still podiums at least, if he still podiums, let's say Lewis basically Hamilton basically P1s in one of the three races, but then P3s and P2s in the others. If Antonelli is able to finish in podium at least in all three races, doesn't have to be P2, could be P3 at that point. I think he might lead after Spa, quite honestly, but of course the gap still gets smaller at that point. If that does happen, um, Hamilton most likely will have the momentum, and Russell could be there at that point too, because like he put it this way, all the races that we've seen so far, Russell has been staying consistent since. The real question is, can Mercedes can clean up the reliability issues? Because if Antonelli has another DNF, I mean, then this championship fight could be open up very very fast at that point. Um, Now, the one thing that we see was basically this is like the Mercedes Merc is having a reliability issue at this point, and uh, he the surprising fact is like Toto criticized openly to the public about his team after that failure. And when his boss is calling on a camera, usually it's real at that point, honestly. The other factor is I think looking at some of the highlights here, uh, Ferrari just proved that they can beat Mercedes on a normal track, of course, not a chaos street, of course, but proper technical engineer paradise circuit, which all that matters at that from that perspective. Um, but you know what? We could see, it's a possibility that Hamilton with these next three races might trade blows with Antonelli a little bit. Maybe Russell mixes in there. Lando, don't be surprised Lando coming in at that point as well, specifically at Spa. Don't forget Lando at Spa. He could probably pull him at that point as well too. Um, Now I don't know with the Constructors' Cup, even if Hamilton were to podium in all next three races and beyond at that point, the thing is I think Mercedes might still control the Constructors' Cup, Constructors' Championship, quite honestly, because the fact of the matter is Leclerc hasn't been consistent, and it's unclear why he's not been consistent. It can't be the car itself because you're seeing that now. Hamilton's able to handle the car, so it's got to be something else at this point. What it is, I don't know. I mean, Ferrari, of course, because of Hamilton, Ferrari's staying close, and because of Barcelona as well too. They're definitely closer. But the problem is Ferraris, they need both cars to score, of course. And like that's one of the things that we're not seeing consistently is the fact is like Leclerc doesn't always finish consistently. I mean, Hamilton's winning huge, but Leclerc retires badly. Uh, and as a result, by retiring badly, like it hurts their shot in the Constructors' Cup. Now, it's a possibility that they'll probably be finishing second, of course, but Merck has Antonelli and Antonelli and Russell always like capable of podium at least and winning, and that's why I think they have the edge at that point. I think this for my championship prediction so far as of now, based on Barcelona and the next possible three races, depending what happens on them, of course, if I'm right about my prediction at that point or my my analysis, put it that way. I think we could still see if Antonelli doesn't falter off. I know you might say, it's like, oh, he's a young, inexperienced driver, and like, look what happened to Piastri last year. Like, he was doing so well until he just like faltered towards the end. Antonelli doesn't seem like a Piastri at this point, and the only I think it comes down to is the reliability of the car itself. Basically, at that point, if the reliability stays the same, because like that's what really happened. Why he didn't finish is because of the reliability aspect of things. If everything stays according to plan and he's still, podiums, all he has to do is podium from here on out at this point, I think. Second or third, ideally second, because, if Hamilton does string up a couple of P1s, it's going to be a different story. I think Antonelli should win this, actually. He has this point, he has the speed, and he definitely has the points, of course, and he has the car definitely to get it done. For the Constructors' Cup, I think we're gonna have to say Mercedes at this point, because like reality is they have the strongest lineup overall, and like they have the best consistency compared to Ferrari and Red Bull, of course, too, and McLaren, and they still have a solid points cushion, quite honestly. So that cushion should give them enough leverage, unless both Russell and Antonelli DNF or don't get into the point standings, like finish below sixth. Mercedes should win this Constructors' Cup. But Barcelona, let's be honest, Barcelona definitely did change the conversation. Hamilton is like not out of this, of course. Ferrari's as well as Ferrari, they're not out of this at this point as well too. But one of the things is the next three races. If the next three races, I would say, if they go Ferrari's way, specifically Hamilton's way as well too, we could have a real tight fight. And if Leclerc is able to stay at least P4, then we'll definitely have a tight fight heading into the second half of the season. Let me know what you think. I mean, quite honestly, it's more so to a point where like, sorry, looking at the stats here a little bit. We already watched, like this is. I mean, like honestly, it's like this is 2026, right? So like, we've already watched a single virtual safety car flip an entire race. So if Mercedes reliability turns from a blip into a thing, a lot of things just go out the window at that point, quite honestly. I think that's why Austria and Silverstone and Spa are definitely must watches at this point as well too. Um, to that, I mean, I'll leave it at that. I mean, let me know what you think. Do you think Antonelli is the favorite, or do you think Hamilton is about to make a serious run at the championship and like maybe finally beat what's his name, Schumacher's record for the most championships? Let me know your thoughts. Drop your prediction in the comments. Hit subscribe and like if you like, and I'll catch you on the next one. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.